Hey there, this is Quang DX from Asobi Tech, and I'm your host today for this Game Dev London podcast. Today we're joined by Aravel from CodeSync, who's the social and community manager there. We're going to talk about social media. Hello,
Hi,
thanks for joining us. It's much appreciated.
my pleasure.
As I understand it, you've just joined CodeSync recently, I thought it'd be great to talk to you about your journey and what you're doing there. Just to give advice to other people who are contemplating going down a similar path.
Okay.
Arabelle, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us what your background in games is.
Okay, my background in games started probably 34 years ago, maybe. It's a long time. It was a Pong like system that plugged into the TV with 6 game modes, which were all basically Pong. And I've been hooked ever since I was a little girl. I've loved video games. It's been a love hate relationship with things like World of Warcraft on and off for years. Lots of different consoles, lots of PC gaming. And it's always been something that I've really wanted to make my job. I stream as well. I used to make YouTube content before I realized I couldn't edit at all, and gave that up. And it's one of those things that it's all encompassing. If you are a gamer, you love games. You're not really, even casual gamers are not casual gamers because it becomes such an obsession. And yeah, like you say, it's something that I've always wanted to do for a job, and finally managed it. Finally.
That's wonderful to hear that. So you've got this job now. Can you please tell us about your job?
So I'm part of the social media and community management team at CodeSync, who make some really, really cute and adorable games that you've probably heard of, like Cake Bash, for example, and Fogs. And they've got some really exciting and interesting things coming up as well. And they also have a Jurassic World game, which I promise, is not the reason that I work there. It might have been all I talked about in my interview, but you know, that's a different story. Yeah, I'm part of the social media team. Myself and my colleague Ray look after all the different brand accounts and monitor like the Discord and all the social channels, and effectively try and get people to love the games as much as we do. Keep people engaged. We're the first point of contact when people have questions for things. It's just basically I spend all day talking to people who love games about games I love and get paid for it, which is amazing.
That's incredible. Like, it sounds like a dream come true.
It really is. It really is. It was one of those things that, because I'm not at the start of my working life, let's say, as the years ticked on and I wasn't moving from the corporate world, which is where I worked before, into the games industry, I started to think maybe I was getting a bit too old and I'd missed my chance. So yeah, the fact that I've done it now at 39 is like, yeah, don't listen to that little voice that tells you that there's a time limit on it, because there's really not.
For sure. I'm not the youngest. I'm not exactly the youngest, but I'm literally getting into game development now as a full-time job rather than just a hobby, and it's been an interesting journey for me as well. So I completely understand that. What does your day-to-day look like for your work?
Most of the time, I spend most of my day pretending to be a two-headed dog or a cake, which is as fun as it sounds. So I'm looking after all the social channels for Fogs and Cake Bash. I will jump in and look after the CodeSync one and a couple of the others if needs be. But I'm the person who you'll speak to about issues with Fogs, how much you love Fogs, the fact that people have made plushies of the two-headed dog. That's me. That's the one that's there going, oh my god, I want this. I need it for my background. So I talk to people on the socials. We're planning campaigns for things that are coming up. We're looking at pitches for other games that come through the company to see whether or not that's something that we might want to work on. We're creating assets. We're planning what we're doing in advance for things. It's just essentially all day, every day, thinking about how we can promote these games more and how we can get people more engaged and more involved.
Yeah, I think a big part of social media is engagement. It's all well and good throwing out posts and news information, which is great because it keeps people informed. But if you want to grow your community, I think engagement is the biggest part of that.
Yeah.
What sort of things are you doing to help engagement?
For me, if my ideas all center around if I'm having fun with it and the company are obviously having fun with what we're doing, it's going to bring other people in. So we'll do crazy fun things with Cake Bash. We'll do lots of puns. We'll get people involved in voting on the best donuts. Um, all sorts of things that because we're having fun with it and the games are so fun to play with friends, we want to expand that to the community and be like, yeah, we want you to get involved. We want to hear that you're having fun with it. We want to see your terrible cake puns. We want you to show us clips of when things went wrong for you in Fogs because you weren't listening to each other. That sort of thing, just to show people that we care about the games as much, probably more than they do because we're really attached to them. But it's supposed to be fun, so let's have fun with it.
Yeah, sounds great. Um, if you, what do you think has helped you get into your role? What sort of background do you have that makes you best suited for what you do now?
I was really worried about getting into the games industry because it's one of those industries where you look at a job spec and an advert that's gone out for a community manager and they want like 5 years experience in community management for a similar brand. And if you're somebody like me who's worked for large supermarket chains looking after their property insurance and service charge for the last 10 years, you don't have that experience, but you do have a wealth of other experience. You understand working to deadlines, you understand the significance of protecting that brand's reputation. You understand all these things that you can transfer, which on the surface you might not think that working for a very well-known brand where every little helps, other supermarkets are available, that you would be able to transfer that to running an account that talks about cakes that battle in an arena. But you can, because you understand how these businesses work, how you need to present them to the outside world. And you might not think that these things are transferable or that they're any use to you in a creative environment, but they really are. Um, and that's one of the things that I was really worried about. But then when I went into my interview with the guys at CoatSync, they were very open to the idea that these skills were transferable. Just because I didn't have experience doing this in the games industry didn't mean that my experience wasn't valid at all. Which really put me at ease that, yeah, I might not have worked in the games industry before, but I've been a big part of the industry essentially my entire life. So I know about the games industry. I have all these skills. Let's smash them together and see what we can do with it. And CoatSync were very on board with that. So if you can get an open-minded company that are willing to work with what skills you've got and see the benefit in them, then you can do anything.
Yeah, that sounds. Yeah, it sounds like with many things, you can take the skills you have and rework them in another area. And until you try doing that, you don't actually know, and you'll be actually surprised how many skills actually overlap in different areas. And doing social media for one type of company, definitely, I would 100% agree. Definitely would help with another area for sure.
Yeah.
So I understand you're also a Twitch streamer. Can you tell us about that and how that has helped with your role?
I think because I've been part of, well, I'm not going to say streamer Twitter. I'm not part of streamer Twitter. As I'm somebody who has streamed, I've streamed for, it'll be 6 years this year. And it's something that I started as a hobby that I didn't think I'd probably stick to, but here we are 6 years later. It gives you a different perspective on the games industry than just being somebody who plays games. You understand different things that people appreciate. You understand the elements of games that people are happy to watch, but not necessarily play themselves. Because it might be something that they find entertaining, but they wouldn't pick up and buy themselves. It gives you an insight into how people want to be involved and included through things like community nights. The community nights that we do every Tuesday have been a massive hit. We've introduced people to games like Cake Bash, for example. We've got a good group of people that want to play golf with your friends. And it's just shown you how much gaming can bring people together, especially during lockdown, especially when we've all been stuck at home with nothing to do, staring at the same four walls. Streaming has been a really good way to connect with people from all over the place and talk to them about games and what they're interested in. So being able to have that knowledge and then take that into your job where you're trying to get people to care about your games, you understand not necessarily just your audience, but everybody else's audience that you see talking about it on Twitter and on socials and other streams that you go into. So yeah, streaming has really helped. Plus, I'll look at a game and go, "Oh my god, that'd be so good to stream."
Again, it's all about that overlap, taking things from other areas and bringing them over.
Yeah.
So I also understand you have your own Discord, and that also involves obviously managing a community through there. Can you tell us about your experiences with that?
Discord, I think, is a really interesting way to keep in touch with your community when you're not streaming. Our community is it's a very tight knit group of people. Not that we're closed off to new people joining at all, but we've all been together essentially for the best part of 6 years. We all have, like, we all say good morning to each other every morning. We all say good night to each other before we go to bed. It's like the bloody Waltons in there. But it's a good way of getting people engaged when you're not streaming, because sometimes it can feel like only during those hours that somebody's live streaming that they're available, and knowing that there's always somebody there to talk to you and that you can get involved. You can drop a message in to say, I'm going to hop on Borderlands. Does anybody want to join in? It's a really nice way of having a space where people who want to play the same games can hang out and enjoy stuff, or just talk about game reveals, or post pictures of what they've had for their dinner, which is usually you, and that makes me really hungry. All the way through to talking about pets. It's a group of friends. It's not just people that met on the internet, and I think that's really nice because that only happened because of gaming.
It's a wonderful place to hang out. I'm a big fan of Discord. When I first started dropping into people's Discords, I found it quite daunting because there's a lot going on, and as you say, people have known each other for quite a while. But if you just dip your toe in, comment on a few things here and there, you'll join the flow of it. And I was originally, when I first joined Discords, really worried that I would miss messages.
Yeah.
But you got to understand that it's more like a sort of a stream of consciousness. And you just drop in and drop out, and you can't keep up with every single message because there's a ridiculous number of Discords to be part of, and that's never going to happen. Yeah, exactly. You could spend, you literally spend the whole day just in different people's Discords, discussing things with other people. All right. With regards to your role, where did you find out about it? How did you get involved with that?
I'd actually applied for a couple of other roles that friends had told me had popped up, and I should give it a try. And I'd fallen into that space of when you're applying for jobs and people you don't hear anything. And one of the companies that I actually applied for came back to me and gave me all this feedback. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's so great that people will actually take time out to say, we're not going to further your application. This is the reasons why, and this is what you could do to improve your application. And that's such an important and powerful thing that game developers and employers in general can do. Even just a standard message, sorry, we're not taking your application any forward, is better than just being left hanging. And I tweeted about the fact that I'd been given this feedback and I thought it was really important and it was really powerful. And a friend of mine who works at CodeSync was like, are you still looking for a job? Because we might know of something. And then he pointed me in the direction when it was made public and was like, here you go, apply for this, you know, fingers crossed, let's see how you get on. And I think because I'd got that great feedback from that other company, I applied all of that to what I put forward to CoatSync, and it really, really did help. So thank you, that other company who didn't want to employ me. You helped me get my job now. But yeah, it was all things that were so obvious that I hadn't thought of them, or things where they were like, you talk a little bit about this, expand on that. You know, really sell yourself to this company. So yeah, that was really invaluable. Plus having somebody at the company go, hey, there's a job going.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. It's like being part of a community and knowing other people who are there helps open new opportunities for you. And then, actually, I said having that feedback really helped you expand on what you should be bringing towards the application, and that's a wonderful thing to have a wonderful thing to have.